I'm here with Paul Deckard from Zayo. Zayo is a customer of Archetype, and we just had a chance here. We're both together here in Golden, Colorado at an event, and I want to take a quick chance to just catch up. We've talked a few times, but there's a fun story here, I think. So Paul, you're one of these situations where we've been actually doing work with Zayo longer than you have, right? And there's a story there, but I understand that you have a relatively interesting career path.
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, sure. I've been with Zayo now for almost 2 years.
Yep.
But prior to joining, I was in show business for about 15 years.
That's amazing. Tell me more.
I worked for several different regional opera companies across the United States.
Okay.
Most recently as the chief financial officer for Opera Colorado at the L.A. Calkins Opera House here in Denver.
Okay.
So it was fun. Tough during COVID, but
Yeah.
I always like fun challenges and solving new problems. And
So you're in communication. I mean, opera singing's communication. Zayo's telecom. It's natural evolution, right?
I think it's always all about language.
Yeah.
You know, opera's in so many different foreign languages, and I love learning foreign languages, and I think telecom is its own language. OneStream is its own language.
Yes, exactly.
It's exciting.
Great. So what's unusual is that we find sometimes when someone in your position comes into an organization where we're doing work, that can be disruptive, right? So sometimes like, hey, they want to bring their own partners in. They want to bring their own team in. And so I'd love to hear from you. You arrive at Zayo, you got a relatively large mandate to keep helping the organization grow and become more efficient. And you show up and Archetype's kind of walking around, done some work there. What was that experience like from your perspective?
Well, I think when I joined Zayo, we've been in a state of change for the last few years, as we were when we were originally implemented with you guys. We were a public company, and our company changed dramatically in terms of we went private, and although we still have our core business, I think just even how we run the business has changed, and that inherently means that our CPM solution has to change as well with it and grow with it. Yeah. So when I came in, we had significant, we hadn't quite right-sized the changes in the CPM environment yet. And so that was kind of the first task that I took, and Archetype was already on board from our original implementation, and they were, you guys were ready to help us out on this next step.
Yeah. I think for us, if I think about probably the most important metric is repeat business, right? Because it's like the first deal, that sales drives that relationship, and sales, obviously, they do their very best to shed the greatest light on who we are, what we do, and our capabilities. But we know the real world is not always, roses and perfection. So at the end of the day, nothing's a greater predictor of future performance than past performance, particularly in consulting, right? So it's a huge compliment and really important to us to have our customers invite us back, right? I think for me, because I have so much admiration for the work you've done and your story, it's like, I'd love to understand from your perspective, what do we have in common? Like, where do you see the commonalities that make you feel comfortable about our partnership and continue to work together?
I mean, it comes down to values. I didn't have a relationship with Archetype when I started at Zayo.
No, exactly.
Even though there was a relationship between our entities.
Right. This could be a liability. I mean, it creates a liability for you coming in and trying to really kind of set the boundaries and the direction, and having us already there. Like that's risk.
Yeah, it is. But also, I think consulting is about relationships. Mm-hmm. And, when I stepped into my role at Zayo and needed to really create a roadmap for how to get from point A to point B with our OneStream solutions, I was able to pick up the phone and call, Kurt and say, hey, you guys originally did the implementation. Yeah. We've got some ongoing work that sort of finished up around our people planning last year. Yeah. Can we get together and talk about what's next and how things are working? Yeah. And I quickly learned that, that we sort of had the same approach. Some of our values at Zayo are around driving excellence, thinking big, and those are things that I found we had in common. Yeah. And we're able to just put those into action, and developed a great plan during Splash a couple years ago to really revitalize and move our original implementation into its next phase of life. And I think that really drew us together.
Yeah, we appreciate that. In terms of how would you describe kind of the OneStream journey at Zayo, and kind of, if you're kind of talking about the value you're creating, finance value creation for the rest of the organization, kind of what are the kind of key 2 or 3 things that are really changed over the last few years?
I mean, transparency and access to information, the ability to access accurate information in a timely manner. It makes all the world of difference when we're talking about big decisions in the boardroom. Being able to provide the right information at the right time, and being able to not only get that information to them quickly, but also making sure that we have the ability to have an agility in how we manage the business. So we, for example, when we're acquiring an entity, being able to tuck that in quickly, and then being able to analyze our year over year or period over period trends and say, well, if we had acquired them at this time last year, what would our business have looked like? Or how do we normalize those activities to really kind of understand what's changing in our business and when? And that all starts with data and having quality data, knowing how to access it, and getting it into users' hands in a easily digestible way. And OneStream has made that possible very easily.
And transparency and flexibility. I think at the end of the day, I can't think of a lot of things that stretch a CPM system more than acquisitions. Because like, hey, we're acquiring this business. There's a few things in common in terms of reporting and infrastructure, but most of it's dissimilar. And we need to report with this new entity folded in 30, 60, 90 days at the latest, right? And that creates a tremendous amount of activity and stress for the finance team, right? And my experience, I think this is one of the areas where having a tool like OneStream, and specifically OneStream, where you've got consolidation capabilities tied to planning capabilities, one version of truth, one single version of truth under the bottom, the transparency, like it's a game changer, which is why we have selected OneStream as our partner, our go-to partner, and no others. And I think you've kind of come to the same conclusion that OneStream's a great investment.
It's an incredible investment, and it's not only you get a great return on investment, it's great value.
Yes.
I think about some of the other enterprise application implementations we're doing or have conducted, and I can't think of a better investment.
And I think to me it goes back, and I said it briefly, like finance value creation, right? A lot of things that finance does for the organization have to do with preventing risk, streamlining processes, closing quicker, data accuracy, but creating value is a step further than that, right? Where finance isn't just keeping score; they're actually now on the field playing as a partner on the field and moving the ball forward. And terrible sports metaphor, but in general, like when finance gets to actually help advance the business, it actually means it makes working in finance a hell of a lot more fun because you're learning the business, you're involved and engaged in real big questions, not just are these numbers correct. But I think from your perspective, could you shed some light on kind of that value creation you've seen?
At Zayo? Yeah, I think, we have, I think focusing on what we've just implemented, for example, really came down to putting the foundational blocks in place to take our finance transformation to the next level. We have, our business has changed and evolved over the years, and a lot through acquisition. And so we have a lot of technical debt in the company in terms of a lot of different systems. And I think with that comes the need to address the transformation of that data transformation journey. And we're certainly making strides in many different areas of the business, but in finance, in terms of the financial data domain, really taking that ERP and the CPM solutions and figuring out how those fit together and where they go next. There's a lot of change that needs to happen on the ERP side that we're just now starting down that roadmap. But I think what's great about OneStream is that we can immediately put things into action and get a return on that in less than 12 months. Whereas on the ERP side, it's so big. It's just, you're moving a huge ship. And so when we're, in terms of managing our business, we need to be able to act quickly. And I think OneStream allows you to stand up those solutions really quickly, and with people who don't necessarily have the same technical savvy that a data scientist or engineer might. I wouldn't say that I'm super tech savvy and on the data engineering side of things, but the ability to pick up the application and customize it to your needs as a business, and then work with an implementation partner like Archetype and sit down and say, okay, here's where we want to go and here's where we are today. And how quickly can we get there? 'Cause so often, right, we have to get there like tomorrow or yesterday, and be able to put those solutions in place quickly. And I think we started with really focusing on building a good foundation for the next generation of what OneStream looks like at Zayo.
I mean, I think a lot of old school thinking is you can't put a CPM system or a OneStream type system in place until you've got everything else sorted out. Like your ERP has to be locked down and stabilized first. And I think, I didn't coin this phrase, but I think if you think about a CPM, OneStream as your management system, once you establish the management system, it has the ability to reach back and grab data from anywhere. It stabilizes your dimensionality, your semantic language of performance and management, and it can stabilize that and allow you to work behind the scenes to even tear out an ERP and replace it without leadership going blind. Like, you're not turning the lights off, right? The lights can stay on. They can see the numbers. They can have some continuity, right? And it's that management system actually provides a great deal of confidence and visibility to a team in the middle of change, in the middle of acquisitions, in the middle of replacing tech debt. I think that's what I've seen. I think that's what you're saying as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hear OneStream talk about it being a platform, right? But it really is a common language.
Totally.
You know, the ability to build things, the data integrity that comes with it, the ability to really kind of manage the business from there. And as you just said, like, plug things change, plug a new ERP, let's plug that in here. Or we want to start tracking these different KPIs, you know, our ESG KPIs, or any of the new stuff that we're doing as a business, immediately plug it in and provide that level of visibility. And it's very exciting to think that, you know, we've just set up those great foundational blocks in our next journey, and now that next place that we get to go is how do we continue to build more transparency and more advanced analytics around how we manage the business.
I really appreciate this. I think I want to end where we started, which is kind of getting back to Paul and your story and kind of what your secret to success is. Not OneStream's or Archetype's, but yours personally, because I think you have a pretty impressive background in what you're doing, and you're making a difference at Zayo. And so what is it? What's the secret?
It's having great people around you. It's a team.
You're very generous.
It's a team. It's about exemplifying leadership, and it's about leading from behind. And I could not have done or made the strides that I have in the last 2 years at Zayo without the team that I have. And it's small, but it's mighty, as well as my partners. I mean, Archetype is a huge part of my team. And I feel them, it's almost like it is totally an extension of my team. And I've even referred to our implementation team as family. So, I mean, it really is a symbiotic relationship. But I think the success is driven by your team, and by, you know, the values that you put behind yourself. You know, I really believe, I mean, especially being in the finance and accounting world, integrity comes first. You follow through on what you say you're going to do, and you do it with the best work ethic and that drive for excellence. And something that you've demonstrated but haven't said is humility. I think humility is tremendous, and you're holding a mirror up to drive light and shine light on everyone else. As a leader, like, that's tremendous, and I appreciate that a lot. So thank you for your time today. Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, thank you. You're a busy guy, and I appreciate all the time you spent. Thank you. My pleasure. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, thank you.